Hey everybody, Mr. Monty here. Going to do a video to review some for our imperialism test. This one we are looking at examples of imperialism, and it goes along with the content standard for the state of Ohio that says imperialism involved land acquisition, extraction of raw materials, spread of Western values, and direct political control. So, what exactly does all that mean? We're going to kind of dive into that right now. And again, this is review. These are things that we have covered in class, but to prepare for our test, it's always good to take a second look at some stuff. So, imperialism. What exactly is that? Well, if you think about building an empire, that is the whole idea of imperialism. It is a policy in which a state or a country takes political and economic control of areas outside its borders. So, if you think about some of the things that we've talked about with Britain uh, colonizing in Africa and in India, also parts of Canada. That would be an example of imperialism. And this picture right here is a political cartoon that also illustrates that same idea. What we'll kind of see here is that there's kind of a domino effect that goes into place, specifically with these four reasons that we're going to be looking at, and that it starts with land acquisition and then the rest kind of fall into place after that. So, first, land acquisition. Uh, Acquisition means an asset or an object that is bought or obtained, meaning that something is gained. To acquire land means that you gain control of it. If you acquire something, it becomes yours. So, imperialist countries were looking to add as much territory as they could, as quickly as they possibly could. And there was really one major reason for that, and it was the whole belief that the more land that you acquired and controlled, the more power you would have on the world stage. So, for instance, Great Britain ends up with the largest empire that the world had ever seen, and they also had a lot of political influence on the rest of the world. So you can kind of look at it as an ability to kind of flex their muscles to the rest of the world, that they had the most power because they controlled the most land. With that, that rolls into extraction of raw materials. So if you control the land, you will also have access to all the materials that come on that land. So when a country would acquire a chunk of land or set up a colony somewhere, the natural resources would essentially become theirs since they're on that land. In a lot of cases, countries would extract or take these materials in order to make a profit, either selling the materials raw, such as gold or diamonds, if you were to dig them out of a mine and just selling those as is with trade partners, or taking the raw materials and manufacturing them or making them into something and then selling those goods abroad. If you think about gold or diamonds, if you were to melt down the gold, cut the jewels, you can make rings or any kind of jewelry really, and be able to make quite a profit off that. The picture that you see here is a diamond mine in Africa. The third reason would be the spread of Western values. When we think of Western, that is referring to either countries that are in the Western Hemisphere or countries that are more developed. So, your Western countries during the 1800s were going to be Britain, France, the United States. And even though we didn't look a ton at US imperialism, uh, they definitely were one of those Western countries that were getting involved on the action of acquiring land. Uh, with spreading values, when it comes to what exactly is a value, spreading the values is talking about spreading their beliefs or spreading things that they find very important into other cultures. So, kind of looking at cultural diffusion, which is the blending of cultures that are near each other. One of the things that the British would do was to send missionaries out into territory and convert natives to Christianity. They basically looked at some of the belief systems that the native populations had, many of which were either polytheistic religions or religions that the British looked at and viewed them as barbaric, and felt that it would be best if they converted these people to Christianity and the Western ways. And finally, direct political control. Uh, these imperialist countries were trying to take direct political control of as much area as they could. And with some of the territory that they were not able to do so, they would take indirect control. Now, direct political control is a little different from land acquisition because acquiring lands does not necessarily mean that the colonizing country would have political control or government control. They would just acquire the land to use the resources and not necessarily set up a government. With direct political control, the difference is that colonizers would force their style of government on the people that they were colonizing. This is a little bit different from a sphere of influence. We talked about sphere of influence in class, and that would be an indirect control. And that basically, a sphere of influence was the ability to control trade and economic activity without controlling the area's government. So, this was a recap of some of the 4 examples of imperialism. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure that you answer the questions.